in a sec. Let's get the group up here. Should any second now. All right. Looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. It is Thursday. Welcome. If you are here with us live, drop us a hashtag live, say hello. We are super excited for today's guest. For those of you who don't know, I am Brittany, a holistic nutritionist, owner of Fresh and Fit Nutrition, here with my partner, Chris Porton, holistic health coach and owner of Rock Your Health. And we have a wonderful guest today that we are so excited to bring you, especially for the practitioners in the group and the coaches and stuff. We have Mary Quinn here from Fresh Start Testing. So anyone who saw my live yesterday, I talked about it a little bit, but we are really going to focus on how you can get your clients better results using these tests. So welcome, Mary. Thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to have you.
Good to have you. So much. Thank you so much, both Brittany and Chris. I really appreciate you having me here today. And they're breaking me in, as I was just telling them before we started. I'm a newbie on Facebook Live, so I couldn't be in better hands with the two of you guys today.
Awesome. You're good to go.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you. So tell us a little bit about your personal health journey and kind of how Fresh Start came about.
All righty. Yeah, well, it definitely comes, as I think with everybody in the functional world, it seems like we all have our own personal journey, whether it's our own health journey or for a friend or a loved one. And mine comes from my own personal journey. My husband and I started a Fresh Start because of my health struggles. And I'll sort of go back to the beginning with all my health struggles, and then we'll see how we brought into the Fresh Start. Basically, I've been in good health and not really many issues. My whole life I've been very fortunate. But then I really started tanking, sort of like the beginning of the 2000s. I started with a lot of bloating and just couldn't understand what was with all this bloating. And I would take probiotics thinking I need to balance my gut. It just made me even more bloated, which my doctor said that's impossible. And I say, well, what can I tell you? When I have probiotics, I seem to get worse. He had no clue what the problem was. Sent me to a gastroenterologist who identified it as IBS, which we know is really just, we don't know really what this is. So that kind of problem continued for a decade because I didn't know what it was. And I was told this is just something that you have to live with. And then in 2016, 2017, my health really started tanking. I could no longer run. I had headaches like 24/7, every single day. I was non-functioning. I was just so exhausted, having trouble sleeping. I could go on and on about the problems. Dry eyes, everything was just horrible. Pain, tried to get out of bed in the morning to go to the bathroom, and just the very planting of my feet on the floor were just incredibly painful. I went back to my doctor and said, look, I do not know what is going on, but I am majorly tanking and I can't be unhealthy. I've got two elderly parents I'm caring for. I'm raising kids. I own a business. I need help. So kind of a long story short, he identified rheumatoid arthritis. So basically, because I had all the inflammatory markers and high rheumatoid factor and the pain, all the symptoms, wanted to send me to a rheumatologist. I'm like, heck no, they're just going to give me meds. I want to find a solution. I think there's something to do with food. I feel like there's food triggers, but I don't know what they are or what's going on. Anyway, I was getting no answers with an internist. So my graphic designer in my advertising company suggested I see a naturopathic doctor. At that point, I didn't even know what a naturopathic doctor was. So I had to start researching and figure out what is all this about. And anyway, found myself a wonderful doctor. She helped me tremendously. She was able to identify that this bloating that I'd had forever was actually SIBO, and it had just been going on and on and on. And when we dealt with that with herbals, my life just changed. And I thought, wow, really? I've been doing this for a decade. She was able to identify basically borderline anemia, mineral deficiencies, vitamin D deficiencies, etc. She taught me about autoimmune, what I should eat, what I should not eat. And I worked with her for a couple of years and really went from bottomed out to feeling so much better. It was unbelievable. But I was still having issues with food. So I was still having issues with random bloating or waking up one day and being all puffy. And I couldn't figure out what foods are the problem. I would eat all the same foods on Monday and be fine. And I ate that exact same stuff on Wednesday. And then I had all kinds of problems, pain or bloating or swelling. And I was like, but I ate them on Monday and I was fine. How can this be? So I talked to her about that issue. And she basically said, we need to do an elimination diet to really hone in on what are the problems. I didn't understand what that meant. What's an elimination diet? And when she explained it to me, I was like, oh, heck no, I do not have time for an elimination diet. Are you joking? I got parents, I've got kids, I got a business. I need some faster answers. I can't do that. She's like, well, that's all we're left with at this point. So being, a little controlling, I'm like, well, there's got to be something out there that's better. And that's when I found Daphne Lab in Italy. And they basically do food intolerance testing much different than we see here in North America. Their testing is not dealing with identifying immune system triggers. It's dealing with foods that are going to be positively or negatively impacting the metabolism. And it's done through non-invasive testing. It's just a simple bit of hair because it's bioenergetics. So when I heard that, I thought, that sounds a little out there. I don't know, but I'm desperate. Why not give it a try? So I sent my hair off to Italy and got my results back. And it came back with foods that I was commonly eating that I thought it can't be this. I eat this all the time. But then again, I was still having problems. So who's to deny it? So I started cutting out the foods that they said I shouldn't eat. And as an added benefit, it actually told me what foods were great for my body, which would be therapeutic for my body. So I started incorporating those and I felt so much better. I could not believe it. So I thought, okay, these guys have got something figured out here. And on top of that, I was able to see alerts for where I had mineral deficiencies, gut dysbiosis, etc., that really hadn't been identified in other areas, or even some things my ND had told me about, but I really didn't take action on because I didn't quite grasp it or believe it. But then it was there on paper. I'm sure you see that all the time, Brittany, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Where people don't quite believe it. So once it was on paper, it was like, okay, I can't deny this anymore. And I started changing the protocol, and I couldn't believe where I was stuck at this level and I wanted to be here. It was able to help me go up. I lost another 10 pounds. I had more energy. I was sleeping better. So everything was just falling into place. So too good to be true. Who knows? We ran it on my kids, some family members, just to do a full circle. And again, same things. People who even said, I don't have any problems, but like my son, but I'll run it, mom, just to, humor you kind of thing. Let's see. And then he realized, oh, wow, when we have brunch and I don't feel well after, it's actually because I'm eating the onions and the peppers and the potatoes and all the things that I didn't realize I was sensitive to. And he cut them out and said, I feel better. And I didn't even know I wasn't feeling great. So,
Right.
That was really, really something. So all that to say, my husband and I have we still have a marketing company. So we figured, okay, now we want to do good. How do we bring this to North America in a larger footprint? Because they really didn't have a footprint here. Like I sent my hair through the mail to Italy, like we needed to do something to help North Americans here and get the word out. So we started talking to them. I started studying functional medicine, taking courses where I could, reading up on Mark Hyman and Terry Walls and just educating myself and studying under them and their science. And we partnered up with them to basically found Fresh Start. The name comes from my husband and I were talking, saying, but I don't know, we just need to think of a company name. And, it was just like, when I started this, everything was new, everything was fresh. And my husband said, yeah, it was really like a fresh start for you, wasn't it? And I said, yeah. And he's like, fresh start. Yeah, we can make it a fresh start for others. And hence Fresh Start was born.
I love that. That's so awesome. Do you have any questions for her, Chris, so far?
You're doing a great job as host. Like you're saying, it's really interesting. So like you said, it's non-invasive. As far as just cut a couple of pieces of the hair off and so forth. And the question I do have is, a lot of times I've heard that you might be sensitive to foods. Can you be sensitive to foods that you feel good with and you normally eat? Or is it something that's going to kind of throw it off in a sense? But I've heard there are tendencies where you can, like I said, if you have it'll be a sensitivity, even though you feel fine with it.
Yeah, it can be like, I know Brittany, you were mentioning yesterday about the coconut and you use coconut and
Right.
everything,
Okay.
and you were unaware, like it can be foods that maybe you're not necessarily like hyper aware of, like, oh, I don't
Okay.
feel well afterwards. It can be simply slowing down your metabolism. Well, that's pretty hard to detect. And if it's slowing down your metabolism, well, then it could be slowing down your motility and your digestion. And then you get all these sort of the after effects, but you don't realize that that root of it is in the very food that's just slowing down your whole system. And that's the root problem, but you can't identify that because you don't get
You don't
immediate
know.
headache or bloating or anything, right?
Right. Okay. It's not obvious.
Not always, not
Okay.
always, for sure. Yet sometimes, like I would have, I mean, after we'd been dealing with the lab for a while, I remember I was just waking up and feeling very puffy in my face, and my hands were puffy, and I thought, what am I eating differently than I have been? And of course, I'm testing all the time because I it's what I do now. And I couldn't figure, I hadn't run a test, in a few months. And I thought, I'll just run another test because I do not know what I'm doing differently. Where's this coming from? Came back that hemp seeds was actually very intolerant at that time. And it hadn't even dawned on me that I had not had them in the house forever. I was at the store, I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy some hemp seeds. Haven't had them in a while, was putting them in my smoothies. And then the swelling started, but it just didn't even dawn on me, even though it's what I do for a living. It didn't dawn on me that I brought this in. And I didn't even see the correlation, and I do it for a living. I couldn't do it, but I got
Right.
the test
Gotcha.
results back. Like, okay, bang, cut it out, felt fine. I'm like, wow, duh, how did I miss that? But the test, again, test don't guess, right? I couldn't figure it out. I just ran
Absolutely.
the test. Yeah.
That's interesting. That is not, even though it's not obvious, it is very possible that it's affecting your body's ability to metabolize and so forth, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had people that, I was just talking to a practitioner last night, and she said that one of her clients found out that, she was intolerant to turkey, but didn't really feel like that was bothering her until she cut it out. And she said, wow, my acid reflux has really diminished since I cut out the turkey. And she went to a friend's place, mistakenly had turkey. She thought she was eating chicken, and she had acid reflux that night. And she's like, that's weird. And then found out it was actually turkey, not chicken. And she didn't realize it at the time. And she's like, wow, that test,
Whoa.
like, they know what's going on, because I didn't even know I was eating it, and the acid reflux kind of came back. So it can be such a variety of things. It can be headaches, it can be bloating, it can just be a slowing of the metabolism, stubborn weight gain, or weight that you can't lose, all kinds of things. Everybody's different, right? And that's the thing. We can't say these foods cause this, because it might cause a certain symptom in you, but a different symptom in me, and a different something for Brittany. So
That's awesome.
very individualized.
Yeah, absolutely. As all nutrition should be, right? There should not be just a one size fits all for everyone, because everyone is bio individual, and we have to recognize that and figure out what foods work best for you. Because
Exactly.
like we were saying with the coconut, right? That's something, coconut is super healthy. It has so many benefits. It's great for gut health, right? That's
100%.
the second time now that it's come back on my test, which that's probably like the hardest thing, like for me, like out of all the other things, it's the coconut.
But what I would say with that, because you're having it all the time, is I think that could also just be what we call the abuse intolerance, in that you're just doing it too often. And it comes back to the concept of our gut is happiest when we're doing diversification. So it's just a little lesson, even for the professionals out there, a reminder that we need to diversify. And that's just the marker on the test to say, hey, this is okay, but it's too frequent. And often you take it out for a couple of months and then bring it back in, and your body's okay, as long as you keep this, the rotation going.
Rotating it. Yeah.
I was going to ask that if it changes over the course of a year, your stress and so forth, so it's not locked in stone. As
Absolutely
far as the
not.
sensitivity. Okay, gotcha.
No, it's not like an IgE. If you have a shellfish allergy or whatever, that's going to be like you don't want to touch that at all, right? So these are very fluid. So we say that the test results are valid for about 90 days, because if you really start to make changes in your protocol and what you're eating and what you're doing and your whole lifestyle, sleep, exercise, everything, well, your metabolism is going to change over that 90 days. So then those food intolerances can fluctuate and change, because maybe something that you've cut out, you can actually bring back in now, and it's going to be okay. Or maybe you've had the tendency to abuse something else, and it's not going to be quite as friendly because you haven't diversified. So a lot of people will just run another test to kind of do a check-in, because you can change things very quickly. Metabolism's not stuck in time.
Yeah, that's good to know. Awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
These food sensitivities, yeah, they definitely, they change over time based on our microbiome, which is
Exactly.
constantly evolving.
Formula for
And yeah, with the things we're exposed to, the foods we consume, the stress we're under, like all of those things make an impact on our microbiome. So, and that
Yeah.
changes,
Yeah, and I could actually, I don't know if you want me to screen share, I could screen share a sample page such they could see what it looks like and like kind of like what the results come back at to show how we
Oh,
encourage
awesome.
people to diversify.
Yeah,
Can I
absolutely.
share?
Yeah, let me get it on here.
Okay. Because it just adds to the point of how we empower the end users and how the practitioners, and for the practitioners that are with us today, you can see how you can empower your clients with these test results. So, and practitioners can reach out to us afterwards to get sort of like, more details on all the tests, because we wouldn't be able to go through everything today, but you can see like on our master food list, for example, like we have 1,100 foods. Now this is specific to Fresh Start. So Daphne Lab is the lab in Italy. It's their science. They've been doing it in Italy for 20 years. It's patented. It's validated by the Ministry of Health in Italy as a scientific test. It has a 94% repeat reliability in that when they did the blind studies and they ran, 50 samples 50 times, 94% of the time it came back with the same results, which is unheard of in functional testing. It's incredible. But when we did like Fresh Start, which is our company, when we wanted to bring it here in North America, we wanted to change the presentation. Of course, the marketing background, right? We didn't think that the design and the layout and the way that it was presented would be friendly for North Americans in what we're used to here. It's just a different style in Europe. So we totally redesigned it. We also doubled the foods. The Daphne Lab original test only has around, between 500 and 600 foods. We've upped that to 1,100. So that's huge. And we have like berries, which I'll show you a sample page of. We have all kinds of different berries and fruits. We have 13 different apples because they're nutritional intolerances, not food intolerances. So your body might really like a Granny Smith, but not like an Empire apple. So you can actually help your whether you be a practitioner, you can help your client know which foods they should be buying. It's not a matter of you can't eat apples anymore, which is debilitating. People go, oh, I can't live without my apples. Well, you can say, yeah, you can still have apples, but you should buy these ones instead of these ones because they're more friendly, that's what's really empowering for our clients. So I'll just show, I'll flip to like a berries page because it's kind of fun to see all the different berries. So you can see the berries, this is a green group. So the overall food group is friendly for this person. But even though berries is friendly in general, we can see that each berry has a different value over here. So this is the response. This is the reading from the lab. Something that comes back as negative is actually identified as being therapeutic for your body. So they say it's not only compatible, it would be really good for your body to consume. So now this person can walk away and say, okay, black currants or the high bush blueberries, which are the big plump blueberries, are really good for me. I don't actually eat those right now. Maybe I'm going to go to the store and buy some and incorporate them into my diet versus like a goji berry that came back as intolerant. That's something that person would avoid for 60 to 90 days. Or they may have never eaten a goji berry. That's no problem. It's still showing it's not compatible. Don't go out and buy goji berries to diversify. Those are the ones you're going to stay away from. And you can see as the numbers climb, that it goes from, you could have this several times a day before, going over that tipping point of when it's no longer compatible, to down to once a day, because these are starting to be not quite as friendly. So we say once a day, it's okay. If you have them more than once a day, you risk, it affecting your metabolism. So that just gives you an idea. And I mean, if it was a yellow group, for example, if berries was or like a food group to be controlled, that same number of like -10 or whatever we saw up there, as opposed to being several times a day, we would recommend only eating it 4 times a week. So it reduces. Or if it was berries was an unfriendly food group, we would say, okay, really, you should only have that once a week. So you can really see that it really depends on the compatibility of the whole group. And then we hone in by item.
Okay. I love
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we have the samples on our website that people can that they can go take a look at if they want to see the full report there. Some of it's blurred out for copyright protection, but once you order a test, none of it's blurred out, of course.
That's awesome. I'm just trying to see. Oh, yes. Yes, Karen, there will be a recording. We will definitely get that for you. Perfect. So why we have you here? We have lots of practitioners in the group, right? We have this huge group full of lots of practitioners. Some of them may be health coaches, some of them, maybe naturopaths, functional medicine practitioners, different types of people who their ultimate goal, right, is to like better the health of their client. They want to get better results. That's why we all got into this, right? We are not here to make millions of dollars. Most of us know that that's kind of, like we really just have a heart of service and a heart of helping. And it typically comes from our own, health issues that we've overcome, just like how you have created, Fresh Start because of your, health issues. So how can the practitioners in the group, for one, is there any like typical like certifications that someone has to have in order to offer these in their practice? And then also, how can these benefit the practitioners in using them with their clients?
Okay, well, I'll start with your first point as far as if you need a certification. Well, unlike other tests, when you're doing blood draws or invasive tests and you have to have some sort of license to be able to order, no one needs to have a license to be able to order our tests. I mean, that's why, we could sell it to my neighbor. I could sell a test to my neighbor and they can order directly from us. So nobody has to have a license. And as you can see, the test comes interpreted, right? So it's not a matter of trying to determine what does this mean when you're looking at the foods. We spell it out right on there. Eat this, don't eat this. So that takes the interpretation out of it, which just makes it easier for health coaches at all different levels to deal with. An ND can deal with it, and a health coach who may not have the same certifications can deal with it because it comes sort of with the answers on the page. And it's non-invasive. So those who aren't able to do blood draw type tests, this is an awesome alternative. They may not be able to order IgG testing, for example, because it's a blood draw, but they could definitely order our test because it's non-invasive, it's hair. So that's a huge plus. And there are a lot of people out there that don't want to do a blood draw, but they need answers, right? So for those people, this is a great option because everybody can just trim a tiny bit of hair. It's not a lot. It's really just, and it's the ends. It's not the roots. So you don't have to yank out a bunch of hair. It's really just the, quarter of an inch off the bottom. That's all we really need.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is that then the practitioners, where it really helps is that when they start talking about elimination diet, like with me, and I was not going to be compliant because I wasn't even going to start it. Practitioners need to find a way that are going to make their clients compliant to what they want them to do, because that's how you get the results. And if you don't have a client who's going to be compliant, then you can't get them the results. And if you can't get them the results, then they don't give you positive feedback and spread the word about how great you are because you didn't really help them. But that's because they were non-compliant.
Right.
So it's like this vicious cycle. So if we can offer a test that empowers the client, empowers them with, oh, okay, so I can't eat a goji berry, but I could eat black currants and blueberries and strawberries and mulberries. And they walk away empowered because it's not only what not to do, it's what to do. And they walk away with the tools on their own of what they can do, and they get some power. Now, what a lot of practitioners do is they give those food results right away to their clients and say, okay, start with these, eliminate these, add these. And the rest of our testing that goes into the mineral deficiencies and the potential dysbiosis, heavy metals, etc. Well, then the practitioner can take a little more time and look over all those alerts to put the protocol together. But they've been able to deliver something immediately that their client can take action on while they take maybe they need another week or two to go over it and to build their protocol. Well, the client can still be doing something that's going to make them feel better immediately. So I think that can really be an awesome tool for practitioners, in that they can kind of divide it up in how they deliver it and then how they review it.
I really like that, because that's so correct. For one, like what I sent my hair in like early last week and we got my results back within a week. I know with like the GI testing and the other tests that I run, it's usually about a 4-week, where we're just kind of waiting. And, and then that's kind of, we're feeling like in limbo, right? And then when we get the results, then I'm like, okay, now I finally got them. Like, then I'm like scrambling to try to create, the protocol. So I love that because you can get them. All right, let's just start by cutting this stuff out right now. That gives the practitioner a little time to like really analyze the results properly and create the proper protocol in order to best serve their, their client instead of being like, oh, they've already been waiting for 4 weeks. Like, I feel like I've got to get them something like right away, so that's really awesome.
And if it takes you 4 weeks to get the response, you need, as a practitioner, you need time to review it. And it's not like as soon as they come in, you drop everything and say, oh, Susie's results are in. Well, maybe you've got Susie's and Johnny's and, how many results to go over. But if you can just flip it out really quickly and say, okay, this is what you can start with. And then we'll have another follow-up in a week or a week and a half or whatever your time frame is. It works on both fronts, right? It really works on both fronts. And we do, as you said, Brittany, we specialize in being able to get those results after we receive the hair sample here. We'll get the results within the week. So we're very quick. We spend a lot of time developing our corporate system before launching Fresh Start, because I know that when I want answers, I want them yesterday, I want them immediately. So when we send out the test kits, which actually look like this, it's really great for the practitioners. We do drop ship as well. We're going to add a drop ship form to our website. So practitioners, we can drop ship to your clients. But if we send you physical test kits, they can easily just be put in a drawer. They come in a mailing envelope if you want to mail it to your local client. But if it's someone, you cannot hand it to them, whatever. But either way, the test kit's very simple. It comes inside with just the instructions how to trim your hair, the requisition form that does ask you about, your age, weight, height, insomnia, constipation, things that we need to know that go into the algorithm to get the results, the little bag for the hair. And then what's great is that we've done our system through UPS. So basically you just have to plug, your requisition and your hair sample in the bag for UPS, drop it off at a local UPS store. They're everywhere, and it's overnight service back to us. Sometimes it takes a couple of days, customs, we're in Canada. But generally it comes back, overnight to 2 days, we have it. And then as soon as the practitioner has paid the invoice, we don't actually bill until we receive it here, unless it's drop shipped, then we charge in advance. But otherwise we only bill the practitioner when it actually comes in. They pay it, and then we process it immediately and get the results within the week. And we upload the results to the practitioner portal. And then if they have any questions, we can have the one-on-one to go over the client case.
Yeah. And I love that it's small, because I remember when we first talked, I was like, I don't want a bunch of test kits. Like, I was like, because I have a giant box in my dining room full of blood tests.
Yeah.
That I got sent, and like, I didn't want that, but now I just have this tiny little envelope and I've got like a dozen test kits, like, it's just in this small envelope, and I'm like, oh, I literally, UPS is, a couple minutes away from me, and all I have to do is, put your address on it and, you drop it off and I'm good to go. They ship it in. They've already got the prepaid envelope. They can do, and then it costs me, maybe like $12 or something to like, ship it. And that's it. And it's not like a giant thing. Like, I literally have like a dozen test kits. I have this huge box, and I'm like, when we first talked, I was like, I don't want any more test kits.
I know. And I know. And the thing is that so many people told us in the beginning when we were developing Fresh Start, and we're going through, okay, how do we want the test kits? What do we want them to look like? And people are saying, oh, you should have a nice little black box. Your logo would look nice on it. It'd be a nice little unveiling, a vial for the hair. And we're like, you can put hair in this anti-static bag. It doesn't have to be a vial. A vial is clunky. Who wants boxes? I don't want boxes. I have filing system behind me. I just want to throw them in the cupboard. So we basically designed the look of the test, the colors, the test kits to be simple, because we designed it the way we would want it if we were in the practitioner's view. And as far as reading it, there's lots of editorial content as well in our tests, so that it helps those basic users of what is gut dysbiosis, where do you get selenium from? Oh, that's Brazil nuts. Okay. So we have editorial content in there as well. We did everything sort of like our vision of, if I was getting the perfect test, how would I want it to look and how would I want the system to run? And then we created it. So it's very much my husband and I's vision of how we would want it. So hopefully other people have the like mind as us, because that's the way you're getting it, is simple.
It's very educational, because you're not only seeing these things, but then it explains what you're seeing, right? And so I really like that aspect of the test. We have a question here.
Sure.
Believe in You Wellness. She says, as a health coach, I find this to be great information. How does this test compare to a blood draw, and would they need to do both?
Okay. Foremost, thank you for your question. I would say I never use the word compare, because you can't compare, because it is a different layer. So it's an added benefit. It's not a matter of being able to compare. That being said, you will see sometimes foods that would show up both on that blood draw IgG test and ours. And all that really says to me at a personal level, I say then that food is definitely not good for this person on a variety of levels. Okay. But honestly, I say over and over, test, don't guess. So if a patient or a client can budget to do all the tests, then I say, like the more puzzle pieces you can put on the table, the better. That being said, if someone can only budget to do one test, well, then you have to look at what's your bang for your buck sake. Okay. And you also have to look at what is this person's problem and what might be the best choice for that patient. So I think as a practitioner, you really have to decide what are the real problems we're dealing with and where do I think I'm going to get the more answers. With ours, of course, you get 1,100 foods. So, and it's not just a matter of what not to eat, it's what to eat. And we call it kind of like the precursor to leaky gut. So I think you quoted yesterday, Brittany, that one of your professors said, keep the tube happy or whatever. I wrote that.
Yeah, don't anger the tube.
Don't anger the tube, right? I like that quote. And really what we're doing is we're talking about not getting the tube angry right from the get-go, because if people are eating, too much coconut, for example, and they're irritating their system, well, the more irritation you have, the more inflammation there is going to be, then you're going to have that joint breaking down and leaky gut. And then all the IgG testing will be very wonderful because you'll need it because you have leaky gut and all the antibodies are taking effect. But you can heal the gut and remove those foods. But then the leaky gut keeps coming back and practitioners go, well, what's going on? Why does this keep coming back? Well, it's because all the foods on our list that you're still consuming is irritating the tube again. And it's just, shall we start over? Shall we start over? So I hope that answers the question. I say that there's as again, you can't compare. Do them all if you can, or hone in on what's going to be the best benefit for my client. But just knowing that with ours, it's not just what not to eat, it is what to eat, which could be a great help. Because once you diversify, the gut's happy, right? That's where we really have to go. So I think that's where we have big power over the other tests, because no one's out there telling you the positive stuff.
Yeah,
they're just telling you the negative stuff, right? Yeah, like we wanted to be positive. I like to be happy and positive and empowered. And if someone's going to put cuffs on my wrists, well, I'm not a happy camper. If someone says, oh, the world is your oyster and this is what you can do, now we're talking. And that's what we strive to do with our test.
It's a very good approach.
Thank you.
We have another question here. Katrina says, so this is a sensitivity/intolerance test, not an allergy test, correct?
100%. It is not an allergy test. We cannot detect allergies, in fact, because we're not dealing with anything to do with antibodies. So you could have a severe allergy to shellfish, and our shellfish section comes back and shows that it's fine, because metabolically, you can metabolize the shellfish. So we say, and that's why we want to distribute our tests through practitioners more than the end users, because the end users, we don't want someone consuming something they should not, because they're unaware of those differences. So practitioners is very important to partner up with us so that you can help your client and be in control and explain those important points. We cannot detect allergies. We cannot detect lactose intolerance. We cannot detect celiac or gluten sensitivity, all those things that are going to deal with the immune system. So you have to, if you know that there are sensitivities or intolerances at that level, they must be respected despite the results they see in our test. However, on an IgG test or an IgE test. You may not be an allergic to a banana, but it doesn't mean that for your metabolism, it's having an impact. So just like, I like to use the example of you can't go to a clinic and get a blood draw to define whether or not you have a broken ankle, right? We have to remember what we are testing for. Well, now I need an x-ray. I might still have problems in my blood, but it's got nothing to do with my broken ankle. So remember what we're testing for.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely. Here's another question, but I don't know if you'll be able to answer that. What is the best test to start with stage 4 kidney disease? That would be something, Karen, that I would, really recommend you seeing a kidney specialist, a functional medicine doctor, something like that along those lines, because this is totally different from kidney disease. And I don't think it's the same test that you already get once a month for the transplant process, because this is something strictly through Fresh Start that's available here in North America.
Yeah.
IAA test. Yeah, that's different, Karen. Katrina has another one here. But a client's PCP can order a blood test for allergies, so the combination of the two would complement each other.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And I say if the client can budget for both, then you're very much complimentary. And like I say, we have a lot of puzzle pieces that we're dumping on the practitioner's table so they can start putting the picture together. But still, if there's some IgG stuff missing that we can't detect on, you're still going to have a hole in your puzzle, right? So absolutely, they layer on to help each other. And honestly, like on that point, we're almost we are December 1st, right, today. So we're at that time where a lot of people know they want to get their health in gear, but they're not really thinking about getting started right now. Maybe I'll start after the holidays, etc. So this is a great time for practitioners to look at what can they add on as new services for the new year. It's a great time to register with us so we can get your test kits done. We get a customized barcode for you, train you a little bit on the interpretation, get ready for the new year. We all know January, people decide to take their health more seriously than they do in December. So this is prep time. So please reach out and let's help you out, get ready for the new year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And before we end, one thing, like, how do you support the practitioners? I know the answer to this because you've provided so much amazing support to me and just explaining these different things and the differences of the diagnostic test that I run versus like what this is. But what kind of support do you provide for the practitioners so they're not kind of just lost?
Oh, well, we don't want anybody lost, because then I feel like all the work that we've done to develop this is again lost, right? So we are full onboarding support. We will train you on how to interpret the tests. And there's no end to that. If you have questions, well, the more questions you ask, the more we can help you. We will be working hopefully over the next month and the slower time, shall we say, of building tutorial videos, just so that you'll have that at your resources that you can go back over and over and digest at your own speed. But we're in the middle of not really in the middle, kind of at the beginning of putting that into practice. But until then, we can do one-on-one Zoom calls, we can do group Zoom calls, whatever, to go over that. We're here for full support for absolutely. And practitioners can go to our website. I don't know if maybe one of you can drop it in the chat there.
Definitely.
fstesting.com, and they can go under for practitioners. You'll see the little Canadian flag and the American flag, and click on your country of choice of where you are. And there's a form that you can fill in on our website to register with us. Once you fill in that form, and you'll get an email, you just confirm your email, it'll bounce right to us, we get a copy. Then we will call you and follow up with you, get your test kits done up, train you, get you ready to go. I can go over all the practitioner pricing with you, just have to contact us on that. And individuals out there that maybe, it's not just practitioners on the call today or listening to the replay. If you're an individual person and you really want to run one of these tests, I encourage you to contact Brittany and soon Chris. I think you're going to onboard with us as well. So
yep, definitely.
Reach out to both Brittany and Chris to order a test directly through them, because as I say, it's really important for you to be in the hands of a practitioner that knows how to interpret and help you with your bigger picture. Please contact them, and NDs out there as well. If we have, go to the website, you'll see where we can talk about minerals and deficiencies, heavy metals, gut dysbiosis, all that stuff. If you want someone to be able to hone in on the nutritional aspect and really help your client learn how to put meal plans together based on a diversified diet, also consider partnering up with Chris and Brittany to handle that nutritional aspect of the protocol, because you can't do it all. And maybe you just want to take care of the overall testing, collation process or whatever you think your client needs, and then contract that part out to work with creating meal plans and whatnot. So I think it takes a village to raise a child, right? So I think the more that we can work with one another and not just sort of hog the client to ourselves, but share the client around with everyone's specialties, that's how the client wins in the end.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We have one
And-
last question, Katrina. She says, how do I get in touch to get registered? Katrina, so I just dropped the website underneath your comment, but you can also reach out to, Mary directly. I will tag her in this when we're done. And then also you can reach out, you can message her at Fresh Start testing on Facebook as well. And then she can break down the pricing difference between what it costs for the practitioner and what it costs for the client. So she can take care of all that for you. So I'll have you guys connect after this, Katrina, so that Mary can answer more of your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on our website, there's the toll-free number for North Americans that they can reach out or drop an email, use the contact form. Our social media handle is at Fresh Start Tests. I'll get any of those messages, but yeah, just register on the website.
Perfect. Well, anything else, Mary, before we let you go? Thank you so much for just coming in here and providing this value as well.
Oh,
So
no, I appreciate it. Sorry, Chris, did you have a question?
Yes, I apologize for cutting you off. Do you also cover nutrient deficiencies, calcium, magnesium, zinc, and so forth?
Yeah, we do. At a bioenergetic level, it's much different than the blood draw, where you might get you might get like a different reading from a blood draw than from ours, but we're looking at it from a bioenergetic perspective. So really reading more what those cells are absorbing and where's the alert for and we see that some people with, we see a lot of blood sugar instability, but then it comes back with zinc and chromium and iron deficiencies, et cetera. And we know all those minerals are necessary for stabilizing blood sugar. So we can get all those alerts. We get alerts for heavy metals, for digestive enzyme problems, for digestive toxins issues. So there's lots you can see on the website, or reach out to me and I'll go through all the our liver panel, which deep dive in the liver, food, additives. I mean, we've got lots. So it's much more than one call today, but reach out to me.
Do you do like vitamin D as well?
Vitamin D is on a different test. It's more like on the immune system test. We have tests actually that are coming out in the new year as well.
Nice, awesome.
We continue to develop the Daphne Lab test. So we're going to have more coming out, traditional Chinese medicine focusing for bioenergetics, et cetera. So
nice.
Lots more. Yeah, lots more.
Wintertime, we need the vitamin D.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good. But that's good. I would say for vitamin D, it's good to do a blood draw and get a reading on that one.
Okay, gotcha. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's a good to do a reading on. Yeah,
definitely. And we're going to have you back again for sure to talk more about this stuff, because, there's only so much you can cover in 45 minutes to an hour. And I just think that, this is just such a great thing for the health coaches in the group to be able to not only level up their practice, but to really serve their clients at a higher level and get to some of these issues that are, causing the symptoms that their clients are dealing with. And, if they're unable to order the more diagnostic tests, this is a great thing to offer and to add to their services, really level up their coaching practice and benefit their clients at the same time. So we
100%
greatly appreciate you just coming in here and sharing this value and spending this time with us today. And we will see you again soon. Wait till after the holidays, but we'll definitely have to have you in here again come January, and maybe we can dive in on a particular test or something like that. We'll figure it out. But
yeah, that would be awesome. Well, I would welcome to be. We just want to get the word out. We want to help people, and we can only help people if they know that we're here, right? So, and for the practitioners, the more answers you get, then the faster you get results for your clients. And when you get them fast results, they're happy. They tell their friends and expand your business. So it's a win across the board. We just got to get the word out and get people get people helped where they need it. So I'm happy to come back. You invite me anytime. You guys are wonderful. And thank you for having me here today.
Thank you.
And for everyone watching and for those watching the replay, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
you.
You did wonderful on your first Facebook Live, Mary.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Anything else, Chris? Any other questions for Mary
That was-
before we go?
It was really good. I'm looking forward to learning more, especially with the new stuff coming in the new year as well. It's awesome.
Awesome. Register on the site, Chris. You know where to find us.
Cool. Awesome. Very good.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks,
so much.
everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.